You ever have one of those days where you wake up and you just feel like, blah, not bad per se, definitely not good, but just in this strange, funky place in the middle? That was this morning for me. It's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to find motivation to be excited about the day. I spent a lot of my late 30s in a really deep depression, which thankfully, with a lot of self work and love and um, care from relationships, I've been able to kind of work through. But I'm always aware of days where that malaise kind of can rear its head. And this morning was a little bit of a shade of that. That sense of just not really looking forward to the day. And don't get me wrong, there are plenty of days that we won't look forward to. There are plenty of days that we will outright be like, I don't want to get up today. I don't want to do anything today. And that happens. And today was not that. Today was a flavor of that. And I find that one of the elements of my loving parent work that I keep coming back to is taking that moment to check in with yourself and how important that is. On good days, we take that moment, check in with ourselves, and reinforce, obviously, the positive things in our life. We focus on gratitude, we focus on joy, as always. Um, but there are other times, like today, where taking the moment is really just acknowledging whatever hardship it is. And it doesn't have to be a huge hardship. It can just be like, I'm in a funk and I don't feel like doing anything today, and that's okay. And I think the loving parent part of me has allowed me to not fear those moments as much. Not fear that, this is the beginning of a deep depression. Not fear that somehow I'm doing something wrong today, and because I don't feel grateful, I don't feel joyful. And so I think taking that moment and in that space being able to tell yourself that it's okay, to tell yourself that there are some days that are going to be like this, but as they say, this too shall pass. And so today, after that initial kind of reaction that I had, I just spent some time kind of checking in, using the loving parent to check in with myself. Is there a reason behind that I'm feeling this way? Is there something that's driving this? Is there something that I'm maybe some emotional baggage I'm carrying around that I don't realize that I should pay attention to and bring kindness and compassion to for myself? The checking in is important both to bring awareness to that, but also then to just treat yourself with love, to reassure yourself that it will be okay. In my case, there wasn't really anything underpinning my reaction to the day, my reaction waking up, but it also allowed me an opportunity to give myself space to feel this way, to not feel like I had to stuff it down, to not feel like I had to ignore it, or to not feel like I had to try and make myself feel better. The point of the loving parent is not to gloss over all the crap in our lives with gratitude and joy. It's to strengthen your ability to take moments for yourself, to reinforce the positive where you can and acknowledge the negative where you can't, and make space for it so that it doesn't just sit and fester and infect all your relationships and interactions for the day. In the past, I would, wake up, feel crappy, and then, go about my day and have this pervasive negative feeling that would color my, how I felt about the day, that would color my interactions with my wife and my colleagues. And not that that doesn't happen, but the opportunity to again check in and try and dig deeper than the surface level allows me to, that awareness really is what allows me to try and bring more compassion to it so that it doesn't just become something that hangs over my entire day. So for today, I encourage you just to take a moment and decide and kind of ask yourself, how are you feeling? Legitimately. And try and be specific. I remember when I was really deeply depressed in my 30s, my wife would say, how are you feeling today? And I'd say, tired. And that was just like such a superficial, kind of easy answer. And of course I felt tired, but there's a whole other range of emotions that come out. And I think part of the issue is that we're so quick to just be like, well, I'm feeling good or I'm feeling bad. And there's so much more richness to emotion than that. So take a moment today, take a few deep breaths, and truly ask yourself, how am I feeling? And whether the answer is that you're feeling positive emotions or negative ones, try to dig into the why. Not every emotion has to be pinned particularly on one action or event or relationship, but if you find that, today I'm feeling grateful, what things particularly are making you feel that way? If I'm feeling like I'm stuck and without motivation, is there something going on in my life right now that I need to pay attention to? And so by trying to not only get more precise about how we talk about how we're feeling, but then also figure out the why behind it, that kind of emotional intelligence, in the same way as the gratitude work, in the same way as the work around joy and being proud of yourself, it just is building the blocks to make it so that those things happen more regularly. The more we check in with ourselves, the more we open ourselves up to the parts of us that are hurting and the parts of us that are, feeling positively, the more we are able to integrate those parts into ourselves instead of feeling like they have to be stuffed down or put in a box or ignored. So take a moment for yourself today. If you can, find a quiet place, take a few deep breaths, and just really ask yourself, how am I feeling? Be curious to see what bubbles up. I'm looking forward to having you back here for the next session. Thank you again for joining me today.